It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out for the program today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you
So,
for having me.
yeah, you bet. So, before we get into your work, before we get into your history, I always begin with this question. COVID did so much to change the world. 6 years
Oh
ago,
yeah.
this thing's raging for everybody. How did you get through that era, and how has it refined the way that you live life and do your work today?
Wow. So for us, I have a school here in Brooklyn,
Yeah,
and what we do is we send teachers to students' homes, and so because real estate's ridiculous, right? So, and this happened to be like my way around it, and and people actually appreciate it. It's like a premium white glove service then, right?
yeah.
So when this was coming, I saw the private schools had shut down, and the New York City public schools had announced that they're going remote on Monday. I set up a call with my whole team because I was already using Zoom for years with entrepreneur groups. No one knew what I was talking about. I was like,
Yeah.
you got to install this thing. It's called Zoom. And I said, we're going to have an all hands meeting because we're going to flip immediately. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And we had actually our best years during COVID because parents were desperate for something. And we even had some other schools sending students to us, and because they weren't set up for it, they didn't know what to do. Some of these other schools waited like 6 months to figure out, well, should we continue? So then I actually even started sending teachers to people's backyards, and they had like a pod outside.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was actually a great time for us. And then we did our recital instead of doing the in the auditorium of the school that we rented. We asked everyone to film the event at home, and I made a playlist, and then like I was a VJ again. I was like
Yeah.
saying, the next up is this, and they loved it because it was like all the grandparents from around the world were able to tune in at the same time. And it was like a watch party. So COVID actually was not so bad for our business. And then it also gave us new understanding of what is important,
Yeah,
And
for
when it
sure.
came back, we were like,
Yeah,
oh my God, we miss just eating in a restaurant.
I know. I know. Well, I mean, even being able to see music live, like jazz, is a real fraternal
Oh,
kind of thing.
yeah.
You need to be in the room. So when that happened, it was like
Oh my
the
gosh.
hairs stand up on the back of your neck. You're like, all right, we're back.
So my staff, most of my teachers are professional jazz musicians. They're all
Okay.
master, like really good players. Some of them, and they tell me like you saved my life during COVID because
Wow.
you're the only income that I had, because all my gigs dried up. So I felt very, very happy to be providing that for my teachers as well as my students.
And
Those,
and and the jazz people are so good, man. They're just such good people. Their level of talent, as you know, is off the
yeah,
charts. The amount of things they're a different level of musician organism. There's just things about them. And it's always
yeah,
astonishing to me how many people like Jimmy Chamberlain from the Pumpkins, he's an actual jazz guy now. How many of these guys started out in that
yeah,
world, and then got with some friends or made some money and alternative rock worked, but you
yeah.
always come back to your roots because life is a big full circle moment.
That's funny. So I don't know if I put in my bio materials, but I'm like I'm not a very good jazz guitarist, but I studied it
Yeah,
because I went to NYU on a scholarship. It was a scholar in education to be a music teacher, but I was like, I don't want to be a music teacher. I want to be on. I want to be in a band.
yeah,
So I convinced them to let me do a double major with jazz guitar,
right on.
and John Schofield was teaching at NYU,
Wow.
and I was like, oh, I want to work with him because
Yeah,
he just came off the road with Miles. I was like, oh my God.
yeah.
by the time I got to the school, they said, "Oh, John is on the road again with Miles." And but we got another great teacher, Gene Bertoncini, who actually
Yeah.
was a fantastic
Yeah.
teacher, and I loved him. I kind of disappointed him, I think, because I was very much a rock guy,
Yeah.
and I come in and I'd be like doing these Eddie Van Halen things, and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, that is
Yeah.
amazing!" But did you do the lesson? I'd be like, "Oh yeah, 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 251, it's 251." It's like
Yeah.
I was so I've never been a great jazzer. I mean, I feel like it was like vitamins to me. I was like, I need to do this because I know it's good for me. And then yeah, I got to the point where Robin Ford, the guitarist,
Yeah. Yeah.
that guy captured something that I was like, man, he's doing something different with the blues, and I want to be able to play like that. And
Yeah.
then I kind of got stuck right before that level for years. And literally for like 30 years, I didn't play in a band because I was working on work and
Yeah.
building this business. It was just like a few years ago that I kind of woke up. I was like, what am I doing? I miss it so much. And
Yeah.
I went to a blues jam, uh, and it was so fun. And I all instantly got four offers to join different bands.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, this is great. And then I started like practicing again. I'm in a band now, and it's been really fun.
Yeah.
But I went to the guitar festival last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, to the first ever Brooklyn Guitar Festival, and it was like guitar nerd heaven.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Greg Koch was playing, and I love that guy's playing.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then Mike Stern, who
Oh
we
yeah.
used to follow around like disciples at NYU with our
He's
tape
amazing.
recorders. We go down to 55 Christopher just to see him every Wednesday night. Be like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
That's
then
cool.
this guy was playing Alex Skolnick. And I was like, that guy sounds familiar. Why do I know that name? So, back in the day, I worked in heavy metal marketing.
Yeah.
My hair was down to my waist,
Yeah.
and I loved it. That was like hard rock. I loved the blues based stuff more, but this was the late '80s, and we worked on Guns N' Roses, Anthrax, Megadeth, all the
Yeah.
crazy named bands,
Yeah.
and there was a band called Testament that we did marketing for, and this guy Alex Skolnick was the lead guitarist. He's like a massively amazing guitarist. So I'm expecting that he's going to be doing some kind of weird metal or something, and comes out playing with a jazz trio, and
Yeah.
he's like phenomenal.
Yeah. I
I was
know.
like, what?
Yeah.
And he still does both.
That's wild. The alter ego, man. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I technically live in the hometown of Pat Metheny. I'm in Lee Summit, Missouri.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the stories, and anytime I bring that up, everybody has a Pat Metheny story. So
Yeah.
the
I
prodigal son.
saw him so many times when I was like 16,
Yeah.
and then my son, just what was it, 2 years ago? He took me to the Beacon Theater to see Pat Metheny. It was
I
like a
know.
surprise. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God. It's so
I
lyrical, so
Oh
beautiful.
yeah.
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 He's the
People are
best.
singing all the melodies.
Oh yeah, yeah. His popularity is unbelievable. Yeah, I mean everybody attributes Charlie Parker to Kansas City, but I would say
Yeah.
Pat Metheny is just as bright and
Oh,
shiny,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
in the world of jazz. So,
That's so
um,
cool.
it's awesome, man. So let's get into what you do specifically with Musicolor and everything that you're doing with your school. I'm going to put you in front of 13-year-olds at career day, and one of the kids wants you to explain what you do for a living. How do you synthesize your day job to make sense to them?
So, I help kids uh, develop life skills using music as our medium, our tool. And it's not so much that you're going to be like the next Pat Metheny or the next Yo-Yo Ma or Taylor Swift or anybody. We just found that music is a gateway to so many things, and it's so fun. So The problem that I discovered was that when my son was asking for music lessons at 3 years old, I couldn't find a teacher for him. Nobody wanted to accept him. Even though I had already studied to be a music teacher, I never finished that education degree, and I was not interested in teaching. I was like doing film scores at the time. So I was shocked though when I started calling around. I was like, why? What is going on? He's so into music, he's singing all the time. What is it? So as I looked at the actual curriculum, the books that they're using to teach, and I figured I'm going to teach them piano because that's the best first instrument for most children because it's so visual. It doesn't take a lot of finger strength or tuning as long as you have a tuned piano, right?
Yeah.
Um, so what I realized it was like the interface of written music. Traditional teachers make you learn that before they'll even let you make a note.
Yeah.
And it's almost, it's basically the curse of knowledge.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard of the curse of knowledge, I think they came out of an economist background. But basically, it's like you've gotten to an expert level, but you've forgotten how hard it was to get there. So
Uh-huh.
then you're just giving them like, oh yeah, just play this. You're like, what is
Yeah.
that? It's
Yeah.
like hieroglyphics. It's
Uh-huh.
like, why do I have to know? I just want to make a sound.
Yeah.
um, so between me being in the world of heavy metal and marketing, and then I was a VJ for MTV for a while. I actually was at 10 years in the first wave of the World Wide Web, Web 1.0, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
So I was building websites, designing interfaces, thinking about information architecture. So when my son started asking me these for these lessons, and I started seeing these method books through his eyes and then his friends' eyes, because a lot of his friends started asking for lessons, I realized, wow, that's just too high of a leap. And in design thinking, you're thinking about who is your audience? What do they already know? So, and then where do you want them to go? What would be the most intuitive path? So I was thinking, what does a pre-literate preschooler know? They know their colors, right? Most of them know they can identify all those colors very quickly. They know how to count at 10, maybe, and they can probably sit still for about 5 minutes. So I got to keep it really short and quick. And then fine motor skills, can you pick up a little pencil with your fingers? All right, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So what I started doing, I started putting colored labels on the piano keys because, as you know, piano keys are just black and white.
Hmm.
But I want them to play songs right away, not just boring things or scales or so I put colors on their fingernails, right? I said red on your right thumb, orange, yellow, green, blue. On the left hand, it's the opposite. Red is on the pinky, orange, yellow, green, blue is on the thumb. And you can actually put them on the keyboard and they have I just what usually in the first lesson there's just 5 colors. And then I give them a sheet of paper that has red boxes on it. So let's count the red boxes. Okay, there's 6, right? And I said, what do you think that means? And they're looking at their red on their thumb. They're looking at the red key and the red button. I'm like, and there's this connection that happens. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to play the red key 6 times. I'm like, exactly. And then it's like this light bulb goes off and they're like, I can do this. And so it's like little wins. We've designed a system. I've designed a system to make it easy to win at very small steps, which is very different than the traditional way where you have to like climb this mountain to even just get to the first lesson.
Yeah.
So here you go. The kids playing this fun little thing, and I gave it really silly, fun words for young kids. I said, what's your favorite ice cream? What's your favorite ice cream? That's the 6 notes. And then on the orange note is what's your favorite ice cream, right? and they love it. They're just
Yeah.
playing it all week. By the time they come back next week, all 10 fingers are playing in the right position. I can now start shaping their technique. I don't have to think about saying, oh, posture, stand up, all this. It's like they're having so much fun. I'm just now able to just steer them
Yep.
instead of pull them up the mountain.
Yeah, for sure. That's
So
wonderful.
yeah, that's a jit in the nutshell. That's how I make it accessible and fun. And meanwhile, you're learning focus. Uh, you're learning the practice of practice.
Yeah.
You're learning uh, how to be resilient because you're going to make mistakes and you're going to get up and do it again. But there's such little steps. It's like, hey, I could try again instead of like making it like you got to finish this whole thing before we even talk to you again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so then there's 6 phases of this simplified notation. So eventually they get to reading real music,
Sure.
learning all the theory, the chords, all that stuff.
So I want to get to the heart and soul of your love of music and how you've evolved to this point. When you were that age, what did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream gig?
So that's a kind of a loaded question because my parents are immigrants. I'm the first generation born here. I'm the oldest. My mom was from Seoul, Korea. My dad from Bangkok, Thailand. Very traditional thinking. You're going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. So I was brainwashed that I'm going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer for many, many years. And I happened to, so when I was like 12, I started getting the rock and roll bug, and I saw the band Kiss on TV, and I was like, oh!
Yeah.
But somehow, somewhere I heard this. I don't know why I heard this, but I heard something like, well, if you didn't start when you were 5, it's just too late. Right.
Yeah.
And I hadn't started. I started playing saxophone at school, which I didn't like because it was the rented instrument and it smelled funny, and I was like, I don't really like this.
Yeah.
But when I saw a rock and roll guitar, I was like, oh my God, I wish I could do it.
Yeah.
So I killed myself. I was beating myself up for years, saying, oh, it's just too late. And then I had a friend who I hadn't seen in years showed up at the door. Like he had moved away when he was like in kindergarten, he came back and he was carrying a guitar, and he opens this guitar case and he starts playing the opening of the Stairway to Heaven. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
how did, oh my God, how long you been playing? Oh, about a month. I'm like, ah!
Yeah. Hmm.
Like that day, I was so angry and I pulled out my mom's, like, she had a little folk guitar. So I started teaching myself from a book, the Lennon McCartney guitar course.
Yeah.
And because, I'm already at that time, I'm 14 at this point. So I can read. I learned reading music a bit at school with the band. So it was actually pretty fast. But I went to a youth development association in my town, which I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know it was there. I was going to the library, and the library had moved, and they had built a new library, but this youth development association took over the old building. So I was curious. I was like, "What is this? What?" So I walk in, and this guy says, "Oh, welcome." I was like, "What is this place?" He's like, "Oh, it's for people like you to come hang out after school. We can help you with your homework. What are you into?" I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to learn guitar." And he's like, "Oh, I can show you something." He's, "Let me go grab my guitar." And this guy pulls out like a little acoustic guitar and he starts playing Jumpin' Jack Flash by Rolling Stones. My mind is blowing up. I'm
Yeah.
like, show me that. Oh my God. And then, so I go home. I'm so excited. The next week I go back and I was like, show me some more, I want to get some lessons from you. And I was like trying to make it a scheduled lesson with him.
Yeah.
And then he starts saying to me, it's like, what do you really want to do when you grow up? And I'm like, I'm going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just, and he asked me like 3 times. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, no. He's like, anything. If you could be anything in the world. And I'm like, anything? I'll be a rock star.
Yeah.
And then the spell was broken.
Yeah.
And I came home and told my dad. And we had about 10 years of fights.
Wow.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it was, yeah, I didn't know what I thought I was going to be a doctor or engineer for so long.
Sure. Well, I got to tell you, coming from being a Gen Xer, I'm 53, the coolest job that we saw as kids was the VJs on MTV.
Yeah,
100%. Like when we
yeah,
looked at them, they walked on water. So
yeah.
I gotta ask you this. Did you ever have these moments of reflection where you're like, wow, like you were cognizant, fully cognizant that you were in one of the most primed positions in a job ever?
Yeah, so I I started um so I, after this marketing agency I was working at doing all the heavy metal stuff,
Yeah.
uh I ended up in a theater company because a friend of mine said, "You know what? We're looking for actor musicians. I'll help you with your acting. Just I know you're a musician, you know." So and I started getting into it and I started doing it. And then at the same time I had picked up a freelance job at MTV writing the scripts for Headbangers Ball, which is pretty damn cool too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know how I was over beers one night. I was talking to my producers and I was like, you know what? I should be hosting the show. I'm writing the scripts. I know
Uh-huh.
what I'm talking about. And they said, huh, that's an interesting idea. Let's do a screen test. And I think I did like three or four. I was terrible, but I got better. And I was taking acting classes at the time. So I was getting a little bit more comfortable in front of a camera. So finally, there was this funny incident where they said, you know what? So this guy called in sick today. Can you come in and do a on-air audition? I was like, an on-air audition? What does that mean? Well, you're not getting paid,
Right.
but you're hosting the live Dial MTV show, which was like, what? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I have a video somewhere of me in 1990 doing the first time I was on TV, and I was so nervous. I'm like, and my it's funny. I grew up on Long Island, so
Yeah.
my accent was so strong. I was like, "You got the Van Halen Cabo Wabo weekend." I was like, now I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's so cringy. And so I thought, all right, this is great. I'm gonna get a job here. It's gonna be so cool because yeah, I too when MTV came out, I was hooked, watching it for hours every day.
Yeah.
When I went to NYU, I discovered that the the desk person, the front desk, like they had a student job where you would be the greeter at the front desk. The person who was the last one was Martha Quinn, the first VJ.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
going to be like Martha.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was kind of dismayed when they told me, like, well, we had a meeting about you. You were great, but you look a little young for the channel. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm 20 something. I'm what, 24 at the time? I did look like a baby.
Sure.
but I was also thinking it's probably they just weren't ready for an Asian male figure. I
Right.
mean, at the time there was nobody. I mean, you had Bruce Lee, and he was already long gone.
Yeah. Right.
So then I was like, kind of, all right, whatever. I went on doing more theater work, acting, and about a year later, they called me and they said, you know, you're one of the strongest contenders for a new job. I was like, I didn't even apply. What are you talking about? It's like, the job is in Hong Kong. Would you like to be a VJ for our new MTV Asia? I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I had just done like a Tony Robbins like book like the goal setting that's like months ago, and I was like saying I wanted to be in Asia to discover my roots. I wanted to work for a TV station like MTV.
Wow.
I want to have an agent for my acting. I was like, all this was happening. I was like, what?
Yeah. Wow.
So I was blown away, and yeah, so I was very cognizant of how cool it was.
Yeah.
But then when I got to Asia, it was a little disappointing because they licensed MTV, the brand, to Start TV. And part of the deal was that they had to hire the producers and the talent from the US and the UK. So I had a lot of people coming from New York with me, but they don't know anything about this stuff. They were
Yeah.
like, all right, you need a dressing room? What?
Yeah.
Oh, can't you just dress in the bathroom? It's
Yeah.
like, we need a makeup artist? What?
Yeah.
So there was not a lot of interest in how cool this was. I was like, oh my God, I'm like an ambassador of culture. This is
Uh-huh.
so damn cool.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, just bang them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I was wishing that it was more like when I shot some of the early episodes, it was in New York and we were shipping the tapes over.
Gotcha.
And that was like, I was like, they treated me like a rock star. I had
Yeah.
my name on the door and then, all these clothes. Oh, you can keep those. I'm like, what? Yeah.
That's
Very,
amazing.
very cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So, if you were to have a dream tonight, you ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you walked into a right? And you walked into the room and you clicked play on a film projector and a 60-second highlight reel of the life you've lived came up. Would that young version of you believe your life turned out this way?
Wow. That is such a cool question. Um, I think um, I think my 18-year-old self was so fixated on specific things that didn't happen that I think in a way my 18-year-old self would have been a little bit disappointed. Like when I was 18, I would tell you seriously, my main goal was to like replace Randy Rhoads in Ozzy Osbourne's band.
Sure.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. I have a signed photo somewhere of Ozzy signed it. It said, Dear Andy, I've heard about you.
Yeah.
Because my boss at the marketing company knew that I had this dream and
Yeah.
he was having drinks with Ozzy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, in that highlight reel of that 60 seconds, what are you the happiest about? What are you the proudest of?
Oh my God. I'm proudest of my son and my wife. The fact that I've been with my wife now for since 1989. Our first date was in May 25th, 1989.
Yeah.
And we're celebrating our anniversary. We got married in 92. We're about to go on a family trip and we're landing on our anniversary day in Hong Kong.
Wow.
And Hong Kong is where we spent our first years after getting married. So we booked my wife booked a restaurant that we ate in at the Peninsula Hotel in our first anniversary, and that restaurant's been there since the 1950s. It's like this incredible posh French restaurant.
Wow.
So it's really lovely, and we're going with my dad, who's 92, my brother and his wife, my sister and her kids, and then Alejandro, my son, and he wants us to show him where we lived in Hong Kong. It's really, yeah, I am immensely proud of my family.
Man, that's wonderful. So I
Yeah.
got to know, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you in different capacities, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Wow, you're a deep, you're like a psychiatrist here.
This is the therapy session.
Wow. What? Could you say that question one more time?
So everybody has a perception of us. There's different bubbles of how we operate as a professional, as a family guy, all the kids that see you, the school, all these different capacities, but ultimately you're the driving force behind who you are and what the world sees. What is your perception after all this time of who you think you are?
Oh, wow. Well, I feel like I am a joyful contributor of ideas and action to the world. Um, yeah, I have I guess I throughout my life, I have always felt like I was looking for the big idea to share with the world. And now, because my son asked for those music lessons 20 years ago, it's become my destiny, and I have to thank him for that. Um, but it's not always been smooth sailing, and there's been a lot of self-doubt and like wondering, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Um, that kind of stuff. But yeah, at my core, I feel like I'm here to add joy and wonder to the
Beautiful.
world.
I dig
Yeah.
it. So the music color method, if anybody wants to dive in further, they want to get into it, they have questions, any of the good business that's going on with your school, any and all of it, where do they go?
So I think the easiest place to go is so the book is called Superpowers Through Music,
Yeah.
and there is a website with that same name, superpowersthroughmusic.com, that can lead you other places. You can also go check out musiccolormethod.com. It's music colors with one C. And then you also have my personal author website, which is a little hard to spell, but I'll spell it out. It's Andrew Ingkavet. So it's AndrewIngkavet.com.
Okay. I will put all of those links in the show notes. What a joy, Andrew. What a joy. What an honor. Thank you, sir. This is just, in a myriad of ways, it's wonderful. But I love these educational pieces because you're bringing all of this light to these kids for the future. And
Thank you.
obviously, how wondrous music is, just
Oh,
from
yeah.
therapy and realism. And the kids need it. And in this world we're living in now, there's going to be nothing better that's going to heal and make us feel like we're sane than music. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And thank you for such amazing, interesting questions.
Oh, it was an honor, man.
This
Yeah,
is so fun.
absolutely. No.